2, 1. You're the man. Go for it.
Yay there. Brent Abel, isn't it? Look at who it is.
Golly, hey there. Hi, Jeff. How are you doing?
Just fantastic. Jeff Jacklich here, gold ball hunting.
Oh, not from
I think
Pontiac, Michigan anymore. You're now down in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah, somewhere down there. Well, I'm actually down in the building today. Yes, I'm actually.
Oh, you're
Let's
in
see.
the southern part of the building.
I'm in the western end of the building, downstairs, in the bar.
Maybe that says it all right there.
There you go.
Okay. All right. So what are we
so I'm
doing
just gonna-
here? What are we just going to
Well,
chat
I'm just
about
gonna.
the?
We're just gonna go, man. Right now, we're just
All
gonna
right.
jump into this. And now that I've lost my train of thought, what was I going to ask you? Oh, I remember what it was, because we're watching Wimbledon here, and there's always the argument, that Wimbledon is so much better to watch because they slowed the grass down and blah blah blah. And my question, it's a thought question maybe, is that why is it necessary to make the grass play more like every other surface? Why is it necessary to do that? They didn't do anything with the red clay at Roland Garros to make it play differently. It has played like the red clay at Roland Garros forever. And there's a specific, obviously, style of play on that clay, because that clay doesn't play the same as hard true in the East Coast in the U.S. That's a different surface, right? It's clay, but does it play like red clay? No. Okay, so I look at the grass and like the fact that they, it's obviously a different game now than it was 20 years ago on the grass. And I look at it and kind of go, why isn't it okay to have a surface that a few guys just happen to be way stinking better at than everybody else? Obviously, let's see, we got a player here who's won Roland Garros 12 times. Apparently, he's better on that red clay than everybody else. But no one seems to make that connection. So for me, I look at it and kind of go, why, what's the point? I mean, you can talk about the commercialism or marketing, or it's more fun to watch. And I look at it and kind of go, I don't know if it's more fun to watch or not, because I really embrace the fact that, watching a guy who's not, and I'm not talking about the Isner or the Opelka, the guys who are, 7 feet, 8 feet tall with giant serves. I'm talking about, guys that are in the six foot range that have great serves and have the ability to come in and stick a volley, the Pat Rafters, the Pats, the McEnroes, whatever. And so anyway, so that's just my thought. It's like, what do you think?
Well, I mean, how long ago did they start slowing down the hard courts?
Well, right.
20 years ago? 25 years ago?
Really started slowing them down, yeah.
Yeah, and that was basically to take away the advantage of the servers. And everyone's saying, well, this thing is too boring. Serve and volley is too boring. And so to me, it was kind of, let's go ahead.
Who's saying that? Who's saying that?
Probably, I don't know. Initially, probably the TV guys.
Yeah.
And I don't know who's saying it. It's the reason you might find this funny. It's the reason I started in 1999. I went out and got a website domain, and I started a little email newsletter. Because one day I was watching on the hard courts in some tournament, and it must have been ESPN, because I guess Tennis Channel wasn't around then, but they're playing some match, and these guys are like 5 feet behind the baseline, just grinding every point over and over and over, and I just go, God, I just want to stick something sharp in my eye. This is this is mind-numbingly just boring. And so if you're telling me that serve and volley is boring, this is boring, watching these groundies back and forth. So that's when I started I started this little newsletter, and I think at the time I had an AOL address, and I had a little AOL address book, and I just went out to everybody, and I sent them just blasted all of them and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to start a little newsletter. Here's why I'm pissed off about watching these guys today. And if you don't want to hear from me, just let me know. I'll make sure that you don't. And so I think I had, like maybe 300 people on that email list. I heard back from one person who said they didn't want to is my, 85-year-old Aunt M, who said, "Oh, dearie, I love you, but I don't think I want to hear about this stuff too much." I said, "Okay, fine." But I got enough people sort of writing back going, "You know what? You're right. This thing is horrible." And so to me, that's really when the slow courts got in there, and then they dumbed down the grass at Wimbledon, and I mean, I love the contrast. I loved the contrast with McEnroe and Connors in terms of styles of play. Right?
Totally.
I love the contrast at Wimbledon between McEnroe and Borg. I love the contrast between Sampras and Agassi. I'm not talking about personalities. I'm just talking about tennis style of play.
Yeah.
And we just homogenized it way too much. Look, you and I were talking about Ash Barty the other day, and one of the things I love about her is that I don't feel like she's a commodity like Naomi Osaka.
Right.
Osaka's got the big serve, the big groundies, and that's it. That is it. Does she have any mental toughness? I don't know. I don't think so. We've seen her kind of pout around and sort of walk out of post-match conferences when she's a little upset. And you watch Ash Barty, and gosh, she's got the entire package, and
totally.
there's no drama to it. So I'm not sure quite how I decided to get on this, Jeff. You might have to rescue me on this one. but I guess what I'm saying is that when they slowed down the hard courts and they slowed down the grass, I think they made the game more of who's the best commodity out here. And we started losing. We all know that serve and volley is pretty rare. And
right.
I'm still pissed off at Fed because they keep saying that the match he lost to Rafa back in, was that 2009? And when they're calling it the greatest match ever played, and my first reaction was, the greatest match ever played was apparently a guy who's going to dictate the French apparently forever, and that holds true, and another guy who used to serve and volley,
right,
but has decided that that's kind of boring. I'd rather beat these guys at doing it their own way. Fed, don't be so dumb. Don't just serve and volley these guys. We watched you beat Sampras, right, in the quarters that 1 year.
Right.
You were the ultimate Pat Rafter. You served and volleyed on everything. I don't know about literally, but it sure felt like everything.
Exactly.
Why I had a discussion with a guy today about Isner, and he's going, "What's wrong with these people around him? Here's a guy who can kick a serve. I don't care if it's on a sponge court over there. It's going to get up and out of the way." Even if the sponge over there absorbs this serve, why isn't he coming in and just taking the first volley and just doing something? And then the other thing is, hire 17 guys to come out for the next 3 hours for the next 6 months, serve to the big fella. Let's get some returns to serve and play. Okay, John?
Right.
So
there's your rant.
I've gone off a little bit, but I think you're right, man.
Yeah, I don't understand why is it necessary to have all the surfaces be similar to some degree when the surface itself says, why isn't it better for tennis to have guys who are a little more specialized, or their games kind of suit this better than others? Let's not forget, as Rafa was ticking off his French Opens, the number 2 guy on clay was Fed.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
He was the number 2 player on clay in the world. Okay, but he can, he had obviously in those early days when he was just serving and volleying on the grass like a madman. It was this, talk about a beautiful thing to watch, right? Embracing the surface and the most efficient way to get the job done.
Right.
So for me, I don't find a guy, hitting a big serve and coming in and knifing the volley off, or just that good shoestring volley, that seeing the beauty of that and watching it, unfold. And I think we've lost something in that translation.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that was just my thought today. A little bit of a rant maybe, but not, just like food for thought.
Yeah. So how do we give a little value, Jim, to our listeners based on this today? What
I think the game becomes more fun when we expand our skill set. So as much as you might be, just a naturally instinctual baseline grinder, hey, do a little work on the volleys and get a few free points. I'm not saying you got to change your instincts or your style of play, but expand your skill set and add a new tool to the toolbox, and find out, like, hey, maybe I can get a couple free points here, or a couple quick points.
Right.
At the end of a game, I'm serving 40-15. Do I have to hit 20 more balls, or can I just hit 2?
Yeah. Well, look, I think one of the things that we could throw out there to our listeners and our viewers is that make sure that you're not completely modeling and copying everything that you see on the tour. You don't need to become like a senior big serve, big groundy commodity. You don't have to do that, and the chances are that if you try to do that, this thing's going to get blown out. This thing over here is going to get blown out. And, the fact of the matter is, it's just more fun. I remember one of the things that Mr. Stowe would always tell me, he would sit there and hand feed me balls. He would tell me, come on in, take the thing early, or take the thing in the top of the bounce and play it up the line and get in. Basket after basket. And I one day, another stupid thing, I asked him, I said, well, gosh, Tom, how come we're just doing this all day? And he says, because, damn it, it's just a hell of a lot more fun to play this way. And I said, well, yeah, you're right. It is more fun to play that, right? To take a short ball, come on in, and force the guy to come up with the goods.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, listen, thanks for hanging out with us today. You did not mention the free 10-minute private coaching call, Jeff, at the beginning of the episode today. So
no, I didn't. So you can mention it right now because you're just so darn good at it.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. You go with the free coaching call, and I'll try to do your thing at the end where I never get all 4. I only get 3. But you go ahead and mention the free private 10-minute coaching call that you can get over at goballhunting.com, and drop in a first name and email address, click the button, and you get access to our online calendar. Go ahead.
I just did.
Oh man!
See, that's called efficiency, that's called efficiency right there.
All right, good. All right, what do we want the fine folks to do right now?
Like us, share us, please subscribe. Let us know what you think down below.
Stupendous. Get out there today. Help someone else have a great day. Jeff, we'll do this again tomorrow.
I can't wait.
Okay.